Alright folks, today we'll be talking Weebill S pros and cons after using the Weebill S for about a year. So if you're considering buying a gimbal going into 2021, is the Weebill S still worth it, or should you consider buying something else? So as we know, all gimbals has pros and cons, but let me guide you through my experience of working with the Weebill S and give you my long-term review of this gimbal. So here we go. So as I said, let's talk Weebill S pros and cons. And as you can see, we got two Weebill S on the tables today. This one is my new Weebill S, and it is fully spec'd out with the accessories that I use on a daily basis. The other one over here is my old Weebill S, and it is in the more basic configuration, and this is the one we're going to take a look at the most today. But let's first go ahead and take a look at the build quality of the Weebill S. The first one is the build quality of the gimbal, and I've said this before, it is not a high-end product. And this is my old Weebill S. It is beaten up, and you can see the wear and tear of this one if you just take a look around it. So the Weebill S is mostly made out of plastic, and this is why it won't last forever. This one has lasted about a year. It still works, but there's some loose things about it, and therefore I got a new one. Then we got the locks of the Weebill S. This is also one of the cons, because it's a good thing that there are locks, but the pan motor lock here keeps sliding in and locking the gimbal. The other ones up here, they work okay. They changed this from the Weebill Lab. I actually like the ones from the Weebill Lab where you changed it, like clicked it over, better than these ones, because these will slide in over time. But this was the second generation of locks, and this was at a time where we were introduced to locks on gimbals. A lot of things has changed with the locks of gimbals over the last year, so at the time they were good, but now there are much better locks out there on the newer gimbals. Alright, then we got one of the pros of the Weebill S, and that is the price. The Weebill S is currently selling for $339, and this is a very good price for what you get in the Weebill S. So let's say if you wanted the RS-C2 from DJI instead, you'll have to pay $500. So I think the Weebill S is priced very well. Then we got one of the bigger cons of the Weebill S, and that is the grip, the way you hold around the Weebill S. You have to hold around the controls, and this sometimes leads to gimbal failure. And I get this question a lot, is that why is my gimbal moving in a direction I do not want to? And as you can see here, I'm just holding around the controls, and I cannot feel that I'm actually touching the joystick here. So the gimbal is moving in a weird direction, which you do not want. So this is one of the biggest downsides, is that you are holding around the controls. Then we got the tripod legs here. I actually like the build quality of the tripod legs, but we have a problem that these get loose at times. And if you go and see my 3 months review, I show you how you can tighten these tripod legs. So it is a con, but it's also a pro that you can actually fix them. So it's a mix in between. I like the quality of them. They are actually pretty good. Then we got the small form factor of this Weebill S. It is nice, small and compact. You can put it into any backpack. You can break it down. You can take the tripod legs off, and it just works. I've had it in all my backpacks, and that is one of the things that I like about the Weebill S. Small and compact, travel friendly. Then we got another con, and that is the follow focus wheel on the Weebill S here. And as you can see, this one, it's kind of loose and wiggly when you touch it. Doesn't feel like a high-end product. It's plasticky made, and just under a year of use, this one got loose, and shouldn't be like that on a gimbal. The newer ones, the Crane 2S, has a smaller wheel and more compact, which I think is better, so you won't bump into it when you put it into a backpack. So I don't like the follow focus wheel on the Weebill S. Alright, then we got one of the bigger pros of the Weebill S, which I think is one of the biggest selling points at the time. And that is the payload capacity of this gimbal. Zhiyun doesn't give us any exact numbers, but it can take a mid-sized camera like the GH5 with a hefty lens like the 10 to 25 millimeter that I use quite often. So a small gimbal with a lot of power is what kind of make this gimbal stand out when it came out. Then we have the swappable batteries. Down here you have 2 batteries and you can switch them out. You can buy more, and if you have multiple gimbals, you can use the same batteries if you're using Zhiyun gimbals. On the DJI-C2 and the DJI-2, you have to charge the battery that is internally on the gimbal. So swappable batteries on the Weebill S is something that I really like. Then we have the quick release system, and we have to look at this one over here because this plate, the base plate, has a quick release base down here, which I do not really like. So therefore, instead, I have added a quick release plate up here, and you can add any quick release plate. I just use these Kaiser ones. Let me just show you. There you can see if I pop this one off, I can just put it over here and easily be switched between any of my gear. I'm actually trying to switch it out from this one to a Aka Swiss. That's something I'm working on right now, but as of now, I'm still working using the Kaiser ones on this gimbal. Then let's take a look at the settings and what I like about that. So the good thing about the Weebill S is that you can adjust all settings directly from the gimbal. You don't have to use the app or anything like that. So this is one of the bonuses that I like about the Weebill S, is that I can just adjust everything from right here. Then we have the use of the gimbal. It is super easy to use. Once you've balanced this gimbal correctly, it is just a charm to use. And if you want my custom settings, I will link those down in the description. You can go grab that. And if you don't know how to balance a gimbal, I will also link that video down in the description, or maybe down here, so you can go and watch that afterwards. But super easy to use, just a great gimbal. Then we got the app for the Zhiyun app, which I actually think is so badly made. I hope they will update this or redo the app, because I do not like using it and it's not user friendly at any kind. So the app, don't like it. Then we have the Weebill S mode. This is also a pro, because what I like about the Weebill S is that you can change all the modes from the gimbal and they have a dedicated button. Not all gimbals has this. So as you can see, we got PF to lock mode here. We got a go button mode right here. We have the POV button. We have the trigger in the front, where you can choose, where you can shift from pan follow to follow. So you can actually do this without looking at the gimbal. Then you know kind of what mode you're in. And this is one of the things that I really like about the Weebill S, is that you can change modes from a dedicated button. Then the last thing is that is a carrying case. When you buy the Weebill S, you will get this one, and it is not a carrying case. You can see it just opens up, and yeah, they should have made a nice case for it, because I know people like to carry it in it and also store their gimbals in the cases. So you won't get that from the Weebill S. Alright, so as you can see, I got equal pros and cons on the Weebill S. But then, should you buy this gimbal going into 2021? My answer for this is yes and no. Because not that long ago, I made a video called Weebill S2. And in that video I go over what I would like to see improved on the Weebill S when Zhiyun comes out with an updated version of this gimbal, which I believe that they will come out with in 2021. But with that said, if you're a beginner and you want to buy your first gimbal, then yes, the Weebill S is a good starting point. And right now is a great time to buy one, because Zhiyun is actually selling everything from their store with a 31% off until the end of the year. So I'll leave my link down in the description for Zhiyun's global store, and you can also grab it on Amazon, the price is the same there. But of course, there are other alternatives. You could also go and grab a DJI RSC2 instead. This is also a great gimbal, and I recently made a comparison video about the Weebill S and the RSC2. You can go and watch that as well. Great video. Alright guys, this was my Weebill S long-term review, and I just want to revisit an old friend. This is the first video that I shot on the Weebill S. It's a very great video, and then you can see what you actually can achieve with just a basic camera, one lens, and the Weebill S. So here we go.
It's crazy,